This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know it, and so do I. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Whip 'em Out Wednesday, November the 12th of 2025, day 316th of the year, and only 49 days left to go. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Yes, infiltration and Radio Big is something that kind of goes hand in hand, so don't worry, because that's kind of what we do around here. A lot of stuff always going on inside of the world of the multiverse, so here you go. Hopefully we hung out yesterday or the day before or something along the lines. If we've never hung out before, let me kind of explain to you what we do here. We talk about safety in the news and safety. That's just kind of what we do. As we go through the whole plethora of things, we discuss information, we talk about information, we talk about things that are going on, because I think that that's important. And then we bring some people in that will talk to you about what the hell's going on inside of the multiverse of ours. Because what else are we going to be doing? I mean, come on. So as that happens, we take a listen, and then you can interact with the show. Audio, video, and text messaging by going to callinradio.com. That will get everything moving and grooving for us. Once you get there, it's going to give you some options. Audio, video, text messaging, and that's callinradio.com, and boom, I get a prompter on the screen. Not like a prompter like where I'm reading shit from, but a prompter, where it says, hey, this is what we would like to see. This is what's going on. This is the multiverse of things that is happening. And then we go from there. And that's it. That's the concept of the show. We do a main story and peace out. This is hour 1 of 2 of actually 3 hours of what we do in the morning, as we talk about some stuff going on here during hour 1. Hour 2 and 3 is considered the Jay Allen of the Morning Show, as we do it exclusively on radiobig.fm. The first hour of this one is audio and video. So we are on safetyfm.com. We are on radiobig.fm at the same time too, but we're also streaming on the social media networks that are out there. And then if you're not kind of, taking this in real time, around the 8 o'clock hour, give or take, that's in the Eastern time zone, we will drop this into a podcast, the first hour at least. And that's it. And some people go, well, doesn't that first hour interfere with your other 2 hours? Well, I guess to an extent it does. But holy hell, dude, it's there. It's there for the kicking and for the taking. So there you go. Some things going on. So that's kind of the concept of the show as we go through the whole thing. I have some people that we hang out with from Feature Story News, and they kind of tell us what the hell's going on, what they're seeing out there in that multiverse of ours. That kind of gives us some of the street cred, I guess, that we need as we're doing some of the stuff, just to make sure. But as always, all kinds of things going on, because that is what happens. I mean, I kind of wake up sometimes, run, get everything ready, head to the studio, and then take a look at everything that's going on, and I go, wow, how the hell did all that happen in the overnight? Like, seriously. So with that being said, why don't we do this? Why don't I bring in my friend from Feature Story News first? We'll get that started, and then we'll go from there.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Well, I guess that's not going to happen because apparently my Feature Story News stuff doesn't want to work. What? What is going on here?
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. More than 8,000 people have been evacuated in Taiwan ahead of the arrival of Typhoon Fangwong, with at least 51 injured. It brought heavy downpour to the mountainous east coast and unleashed floods that ran neck-high in places. Laura Westbrook is reporting.
There were reports of severe flooding in parts of the eastern county of Yilin. Soldiers reportedly waded through neck-deep waters to rescue people who were stranded. Businesses and schools remain shut in most parts of southern Taiwan. Forecasters say that while the storm continues to weaken, heavy rain is expected to continue. It's expected to graze the far southern tip of Taiwan later on Wednesday before heading into the Pacific Ocean. Fengwan slammed into the Philippines on Sunday as a super typhoon, leaving dozens dead in flash floods and landslides in several northern provinces. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
An offshoot of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has claimed responsibility for a suicide attack in Islamabad that killed 12 people. And on Wednesday, security has now been heightened across the capital. The attack comes amid deteriorating ties between Pakistan and Afghanistan, with Islamabad accusing Kabul of sheltering militant groups, a charge Afghanistan denies. Hira Mustafa is in Islamabad.
An offshoot of the militant group Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Jamaat al-Ahrar, has claimed the responsibility of the suicide attack that happened in Islamabad yesterday. According to the expert, it's quite alarming because after 3 years, the attack has happened in the capital Islamabad, and it's been the responsibility is taken by the offshoot group Jamaat al-Ahrar of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, as it's one of the most brutal faction of TTP, and in the past also has carried out terrorist activities targeting civilians, women, security personnel. So experts here in the capital are telling us that it's a very alarming situation.
US President Donald Trump is attempting to have the US Supreme Court overturn a civil judgment and a $5 million penalty which found that he sexually abused a woman in New York in the mid-1990s. Mitch McCann is reporting.
Mr. Trump's legal team blasted E. Jean Carroll's case against him as liberal lawfare as they tried to get the US Supreme Court to hear the president's appeal in the hopes the court will overturn the verdict. The Carroll case was one of many the president faced in the lead-up to the 2024 election, where he was found guilty of sexually abusing the author in a New York department store and then subsequently defaming her, allegations he continues to deny. US media reports say Mr. Trump's lawyers believe the assertions against him were implausible and unsubstantiated. The court's decision has already been upheld by a federal appeals court, and the Supreme Court may choose not to hear the case.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the efforts to save 15 penguins that are allegedly trapped in a London basement. More than 70 lawmakers have now joined an effort to free the penguins held in an aquarium in County Hall, right opposite the Houses of Parliament, or at least get them released into more appropriate surroundings. At the moment, they are denied natural light, have only about 7 feet of water in which to swim, and demonstrators carrying placards that read, "Free the 15 have taken to London streets to demand action. Danny Chambers is a Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament and also a veterinary surgeon.
You've got to remember that good animal welfare also includes the ability to express natural behaviour, to behave naturally. These penguins aren't kept in that situation. The pool isn't deep enough. They're not exposed to any natural light. They're not outside at all. They're just in the basement. They don't look particularly happy. So we know that the UK has some of the highest animal welfare standards in the world, whether it's zoos or whether it's farming. And it doesn't send a very good message when we have, right in the heart of London, right next to Parliament, animals being kept in such poor conditions.
The aquarium owners are pushing back against the criticism, saying the penguins are healthy and thriving. Releasing them into the wild simply isn't a safe option for these penguins who have always lived in human care, said a spokesman. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. More than 8,000 people have been evacuated in Taiwan ahead of the arrival of Typhoon Fangwong, with at least 51 injured. An offshoot of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has claimed responsibility for the suicide attack in Islamabad that killed 12 people. A spending bill that would reopen the US government is now set to be voted on in the House after the Senate voted to end the record-breaking shutdown. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punya reporting.
We're the only radio station that'll turn your car into a concert venue.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing that dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation, Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Well, you know that here at Safety FM and Radio Big, we're always trying to look for life hacks. So with the busy season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kits, can help you fuel up with fast chef prepared, dietitian approved, and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavored packs. dietitian-approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. All you need to do is head over to factorsmeals.com/safetyfm50 and use code safetyfm50 to get 50% off. That's code safetyfm50 at factormeals.com/safetyfm50 to get 50% off. Go there. Do it now.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Oh, yes, we are. We are streaming 24/7 across the multiverse of things that we have. No doubt about that. Anyways, 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Whip About Wednesday. Let's talk real quick about some things that I learned from the movies.
It's time for things I've learned from movies.
If someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience? Or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If they prayed for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them opportunities to be courageous? If someone prayed for the family to be closer, do you think God zaps them with warm, fuzzy feelings? Or does he give them opportunities to love each other?
And that's it for things I've learned from movies.
Okay, so I wonder if we should be listening to Garth Brooks next for unanswered prayers. Maybe that's the next question as we are hanging out. Okay, so let's talk about this because, there's all kinds of stuff that we are talking about inside of the world of the multiverse. So let's talk about a couple of different things. Let's start off with this one. Your friend group might be affecting your testosterone. Yep, I said that out loud. Researchers at Harvard found that men surrounded by high-achieving, goal-driven peers tend to have a natural higher testosterone levels. The body responds to the environment, competition, motivation, and shared purpose all signal strength and dominance. The takeaway is upgrade your circle, surround yourself with guys and gals who push forward, not to hold you back. Well, I mean, isn't that kind of common to that whole thing that you're very similar to the 10 people closest to you? Isn't that kind of how the story goes? Or has that changed in regards on how that would normally work out? I'm just asking because I'm trying to understand this because that's kind of how it goes. Okay, so let's start talking about some other stuff. The USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group has arrived in the waters under the U.S. Southern Command amid rising tensions with Venezuela and transnational drug cartels. The deployment was ordered by Defense Department on October the 24th, places the Navy's most advanced carrier and its escort ships somewhere near the Caribbean Sea and Western Atlantic. The Fourth Fleet confirmed that the group's presence, noting it will bolster operations to intercept and destroy drug smuggling vessels tied to criminal organizations. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said that it added forces with strengthening the U.S. effort to detect, monitor, and disrupt illicit actors, threatening homeland and regional securities. The Ford Strike Group includes multiple guided missiles destroyers and joins several other U.S. warships already stationed in the region. Since September the 2nd, the military has launched 19 aerial strikes and suspected drug boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, killing at least 76 people the Pentagon identifies as cartel operatives. So there you go. Some stuff to think about as we are hanging out. What do you think about the whole thing? I'm just asking because, we're here. So take a listen to this one. I guess we're going to keep it inside of this for a moment. A Utah judge has rejected the Republican-drawn congressional map and instead adopted a one proposed by plaintiff challenging the state redistricting, marking a major setback for the GOP ahead of the next year's midterm election. Judge Diana Gibson ruled on Monday night that the legislator map C violated Proposition 4. A 2018 voter-approved anti-gerrymandering measure and showed substantial pro-Republican bias. She instead selected Map 1 submitted by the plaintiff, including the League of Women Voters of Utah, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, and a Campaign Legal Center, and several Salt Lake County voters. The ruling handed down by The judge, just minutes before midnight deadline for election officials to finalize the district boundaries, could give Democrats a fighting chance at winning one of Utah's 4 House seats for the first time since 2021. When Democrat Ben McAdams lost his seat, state Democrats praised the decision as a win for every Utahn. Is it Utahn? That sounds weird. Saying it restores their representation fairly. So there you go. In some other news, apparently I screwed up yesterday. Totally forgot to mention that it was Veterans Day, but let's talk about this. A group of Korean War and Vietnam War veterans flying to Washington, D.C. for Veterans Day got an unexpected visit from Barack Obama. The veterans traveling from Madison, Wisconsin as part of the Honor Flight organized for a nonprofit Honor Flight network were stunned when the former president boarded their plane after it landed at Reagan National Airport on Monday. Over the intercom, Obama thanked the 87 veterans for their extraordinary service and the sacrifices that they and their families made for the country. Each veteran received a handshake and a commemorative coin from him. Navy veteran Neil Swenson said, word quickly spread, though, that the plane that the President Obama was there to greet us, calling the experience an honor. Even organizers were caught off guard. Jody McCain, director of the flight operations for the Badger Honor Flight, said that the visit was a total surprise. So there you go. Some stuff going on right there. I mean, some people are always going to be excited regardless of, your politics, of being able to meet the President of the United States, former, whatever. It's just kind of the way that it goes. I mean, I think it's kind of an honor if you kind of think about it. I mean, especially when you start thinking about all the stuff that people sacrificed to do what they did in regards to representing and defending the country. And then all of a sudden to have the president, the commander in chief there to tell you, hey, good job. So, good stuff there. That is for sure. Let's continue talking about some other stuff that is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's kind of what we do around here. We talk a little bit about this, we talk a little bit about that, and we get into everything that is going on. So, let's talk about this. Do you want to talk about 10-minute morning routine that actually boosts energy? I think we should talk about it. Might be important. Forget coffee. Science says that 2 minutes of stretching, 1 cold splash of water, and 3 deep breaths can raise alertness by 30%. Here's how to do it before you grab your first sip. So, am I going to tell you how to do it? I don't think I'm going to tell you how to do it. I think it's going to be a discussion. So, maybe that's what we do. So, I don't know. I got this one in here today, and I'm not 100% sure how to go over this. So let's go into this. A UPS cargo plane tragically crashed shortly after takeoff on November the 4th of 2025, killing 14 people, according to investigators who believe that to be a total number of fatalities. The cause of the crash is still under investigation, though early reports suggest that one of the engines may have detached during takeoff. In the aftermath, TikTok psychic medium Joseph Tittel claimed that he predicted a disaster a week earlier, posting a video on October the 27th describing a large plane that goes sideways and then takes a nosedive while seemingly trying to land. He compared it to the previous Air India crash that implied that the pilot were struggling for control. However, the so-called prediction doesn't hold up. Experts pointed that Tittel's vague and contradictory statements about the plane trying to land going sideways and being steered by someone else don't match the actual footage or known facts. The UPS plane did not nosedive or weave between buildings. It flew straight until impact. The investigators noted the possible mechanical failure, not human interference. Tittel's video also includes several other predictions that never happened, including a supposed hot air balloon disaster, and claims that the comet named 3I Atlas is really an alien ship, which astronomers emerged debunked. Well, hold on. Glad that, the psychic person is trying to be psychic by doing the stuff that they're saying and all that kind of fun stuff, because that's always a good time. But listen, regardless of what happens here, if there was somebody found an alien, let's just use this as an example, I don't think a lot of people are going to come out there and be like, oh yes, what this dude is saying is true.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this one. Sam O'Hara, 35-year-old D.C. resident, found himself at the center of the First and Fourth Amendment lawsuit after he used humor in Star Wars to protest the National Guard's patrol near DuPont Circle. O'Hara began playing the Imperial March, Darth Vader's theme music, just in case, on his phone as Guard members walked by, calling it a peaceful way to express concern over the military presence and ordered by the President Trump to address crime of the homelessness at the Capitol. The Guards initially reacted with smiles and waves until a later encounter on September the 11th when O'Hara was handcuffed by D.C. police after an Ohio National Guard sergeant claimed that he was harassing the troops. The ACLU has since sued the city and the Guard on his behalf, arguing that the arrest violated his constitutional rights. O'Hara, longtime protester and self-described Star Wars fan who identifies with the rebellion, said that he meant no disrespect to the troops, just disagreement with the orders placing them there. The case could set the precedent for protecting peaceful, creative protests, as O'Hara put it, being that at the center of the First Amendment lawsuit wasn't on my bingo card for 2025. So there you go. So let's see. Nothing says peaceful demonstration like trolling stormtroopers with a Bluetooth speaker. The force wasn't with him, but the ACLU definitely was. I guess that's one way to take a look at it. And help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. They cuffed me for satire. Somewhere John Williams is both proud and terrified. Apparently you can't get arrested for a killer soundtrack. Or maybe you can get arrested for it. One man's playlist is another man's disturbance of the force, and the First Amendment's still stronger than Jedi mind tricks is what it sounds like. What do you think about this whole thing? I guess it gets one of those things that is very weird when it comes to all things of what people think is appropriate or not.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Yep, there you go. I mean, I don't know. I would say here controversy creates cash, but the only people that are getting cash there are not probably people that want me to talk about that being cash. So there you go. Anyways, take a listen to this. Oliver Rioux, at 19-year-old from Quebec, officially made history as the tallest player in U.S. college basketball. Standing at 7 feet 9 inches, the University of Florida freshman stepped onto the court for the first time during the Gators' 104-64 point win over North Florida, entering the game just over 2 minutes left after fans began chanting for him to play. Oliver, who had sat out the entire previous season, didn't get a chance to touch the ball during his brief appearance, but the moment was still a milestone. It felt great. The support from everyone was amazing on the bench, and it stands that he said afterwards, when asked about breaking yet another record, the towering teen simply grinned and said, just another day. So my question becomes this. Number one, how the hell are you getting around places, especially at that height? You're not fitting into a normal car. I mean, that's a good thing. And why are they not letting you play? I mean, it's 7 feet 9 inches and thinking that the basket's 10 feet tall. Holy crap, we're only talking 2 feet difference. So just a question as we are talking. Okay, take a listen to this one because it always becomes interesting when we get to talk about all kinds of interesting stuff. No doubt about that. A Purple Heart belonging to a World War II veteran, James Bennett from Illinois, was finally been returned to his family just in time for Veterans Day after spending decades of forgotten in a safety deposit box. Burnett, a U.S. Army rifleman. Yes, a U.S. Army rifleman and a longtime resident of Oak Park, received the medal during World War II after his death in 1990 and his wife Anne passing in 1997. Their Purple Heart ended up in hands of Illinois State Treasurer Michael Ferentz through Operation Purple Heart, a state program dedicated to reuniting lost military medals with veterans and families. Frerick said that finding the rightful owner often takes detective work and media outreach. In the case of Chicago Tribune, helped locate Bennett's niece, Patty Neese, who became the legal guardian of the couple's disabled daughter, Suzanne. Neese said that she had no idea her aunt had a safety deposit box until She was contacted about the medal, calling the discovery exciting and describing her uncle a really great guy. French's personally presented Bennet's Purple Heart to Nice in a ceremony on Monday. She plans to proudly display it at her home and share photos with the surviving relatives. Operation Purple Heart has now reunited 17 medals with families since Fredericks took over the office, reportedly more than any other state, with 6 more still waiting to be returned from the treasurer's vault. So congratulations there in regard to getting some of that stuff done. Always a good time when we get to hear news stories like that, because you never know what's going on. You just never know. So there you go. So here we go. It's currently 30 minutes past the top of the hour. We're just a few minutes away of going into some other new stuff here. So don't worry about that. We're going to make sure to take care of you. But let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because I think sometimes we tend to get lost in some of the other stuff that goes on. So take a listen to this. President Trump honored veterans at the Arlington National Cemetery yesterday. Take a listen to this one.
We owe it all to the fierce and noble men and women of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and the United States Marines. Here's a guy. Our service members, our own words, are the greatest possible tribute to their immortal valor.
So there you go. The president there talking a little bit about what's going on. So always a good time when you get to hear that. No doubt about that. So let's continue talking about some other stuff as we are just a few minutes away about, doing our stuff that is going down with the main story. Take a listen to this. I don't know if you heard about this, but actor Jesse Eisenberg is going to be donating a kidney to a complete stranger. Yesterday on ET, Jesse said he isn't nervous about the procedure. Take a listen to this.
Are you nervous for that procedure at all?
No. You know what's really interesting? On the first Now You See Me movie, we had to be hung up like in the rafters on a harness. And I normally have a fear of heights, but when I was hung up in the rafters, I was like, I don't have any fear. And I realized it's because I was doing it for a purpose, for the movie. And so then I used to have a fear of needles. So then I thought, well, if I'm doing it for a purpose, maybe I won't have that fear either. And so I started donating blood. And I had no fear of needles anymore. Now that it's for a purpose, it's for some other reason, I have no hesitation at all.
Are you hoping to meet the recipient after the fact?
Yeah, it could be interesting to meet the recipient as long as they don't want my other kidney.
So there you go. A lot of fun stuff going on right there. Great guy to hear that. So think about that. So all of a sudden, if you're doing things for a purpose, maybe being so nervous about something might not make you as nervous. Boy, I say controversy creates cash, and there's all kinds of other things that come to mind when I hear that. No doubt about that. Anyways, 32 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and do it.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it, because always a good time as we are doing our thing and expressing ourselves inside of some of these main stories, and that's kind of how it goes. So let's go ahead and get into it. We've been told for years that if we just hired the right people, the perfect people, if I may say it this way, everything will run smoothly. No incidents, no drama, and definitely
no human error.
Just a utopian workplace where everyone follows the rules, nobody forgets a step, and every procedure magically works exactly as written. I would imagine that's the dream, correct? I mean, that's the only way that I can envision that. Except that it is just complete bullshit. There is just no way that would actually work. There's no such thing as a perfect person. Nope. Not in the workplace, not in leadership, not in your safety department, not even in the mirror. I know. I had to say that one to myself. Just joking. I already knew that ahead of time. We're all flawed, distracted, emotional, reactive, and sometimes we just get it wrong. It just happens. I mean, think about the times that you've been wrong and how much it felt like being right. But instead of accepting that reality, organizations keep designing systems as if humans are machines that can be programmed, and they're shocked when the systems break. And here's the punchline. The systems didn't break. It worked exactly as designed. It just wasn't designed for how people actually behave. This is where we run into some problems. So let's unpack this for a second. You've seen it happen, the near miss that occurs, and then the first question someone asks, who messed up? Who messed up? Not what happened, Not what conditions existed, but who. Yeah, the who. The blame radar immediately turns on. Whoop, 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 whoop. Trying to figure it out. Because it's easier to find a name than to actually find the cause. But think about it. Think about this just for a moment. If you have a system that only works when people are flawless, you know how they say in Mortal Kombat,
flawless victory.
You don't have a safety system, you have a fragile one. That's the myth of the perfect people as well. The idea that if we can find enough of them, everything will stay under control. And organizations love this myth because it lets them off the hook for designing resilient systems. Why bother building defenses when you can just say, hey, be more careful? Here's the part nobody likes to admit, and we have to talk about it. Every single one of us are variable. One day, you're rested, focused, and clear-headed. The next day, you're tired, stressed out, and maybe dealing with something personal. Your cognitive bandwidth is shot, your attention span is shrinking, and you still have to make 200 micro decisions, because that's what we tend to forget before lunch. Sometimes we look at stuff as like, hey, I drove from my house to work, not realizing that there was 200 micro decisions or even more before you actually left the house to get to work. You know, that timeline. And the system, well, it doesn't care. It doesn't care about that. It's built on the ideal version of you, not the real one, but the version of you. That's why so many human error investigations feel like bad comedy, because they are written as if the person at the center of was a robot who just glitched. And we could probably have a whole other conversation about technology when it fails, but we'll leave that for another time. So what's the alternative? You design for imperfection. You assume that people will drift, forget, shortcut, or be a little bit impulsive, maybe sometimes even improvise. You make the system strong enough to absorb that, because that's where resilient actually looks like. You don't build perfect people, you build systems that can survive imperfect behavior. So here's the story for you. A few years ago, a maintenance team was replacing a valve on a high-pressure line. The procedure was solid, detailed, checked, approved, and so on. The team followed it step by step. There was one small problem. The valve model had changed since the procedure was written. Just a small difference, nothing major. 2 bolts instead of 3. Nobody caught it, though. When they tightened up everything, turned the pressure back on, the valve failed. Luckily, nobody was hurt. When management came in afterwards, they wanted to know who didn't follow the procedure. But the real question shouldn't have been the real question should have been, how was the procedure designed to handle change? And guess what? It wasn't. Because it assumed the perfect world. One where equipment never changes and people never make assumptions. So we ended up blaming people for doing exactly what the system told them to do. That's the myth in action. That's the stuff to think about. So now let's shift gears, and not because I referenced that story. If your leadership, safety, operation, or otherwise, your job isn't to chase perfection. It's to understand variability. When people deviate, it's not always a sign of failure. Sometimes it's a sign of adaptation. The system didn't fit reality of work, so they made it fit. That's learning. That's experience. That's the raw material of improvement. But if all you do is punish deviation, you'll never see it. You'll never hear about it. You'll never drive what's coming up from underground until one day it blows up in your face. The truth is that perfection isn't a goal, it's a trap. It tells you that safety is an endpoint instead of a process. It tells you that workers, that their value is measured by how few mistakes they make. It tells leaders that their job is to control, not to understand. And when something goes wrong, because it will, I mean, if you're not aware of this, surprise, surprise on this Whip 'em Out Wednesday, everyone scrambles to improve. And they want to make sure that people understand that it wasn't their fault. That's not learning. That's fear management. So maybe it's time to change the language. Instead of zero harm, try continuous learning. Instead of error-free, try error-tolerant. Instead of follow that rule, try help the system adapt. Because perfection doesn't keep people safe. Resilience does. I'll leave you with this thought. The most dangerous words in safety aren't be careful. They're that could never happen here. The moment you believe that your people are too smart, too trained, too perfect to fail, that's the moment your system becomes more vulnerable. So forget perfect, build for the real, because real people, with all of their distractions, creativity, and humanity, are the ones that make safe work. Seriously. And if you can design that, you're already miles ahead. So think about that today. It might take you places that you did not expect. Seriously.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
In another timeline, you were mine.
Okay, here we are, 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. This is still the Rated R Safety Show, or hour number one of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, however you want to take a look at it. Oh, yes, in another timeline. Welcome to Parallel Love. That's what this song is titled. Song is readily available, well, nowhere, because I kind of did some stuff with it last night. I'm telling you, music production has become a thing around here. So, always a good time. Parallel Love right there. I don't know. Maybe we need to do something with all these tracks we've been composing here. Okay, so you are still hanging out here with me, and I am still hanging out with you on this lovely Wednesday. No doubt about that one. So let's continue talking inside of the world of the multiverse, and let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. We want you to know that people have been where you are now and that things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Once you get there, there's going to be information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. I'm going to tell you, once you get there, it can change everything for you. And I don't say that as a joke, and I don't say that to be part of the comedy hour. There is such great resources on there that it could change the outcome of things that are going on. So, if not today, look in the very near future. TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms, and go to the section that says find help. I'm telling you. All kinds of stuff always there to take a gander at and see what exactly is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, and that is the way that it goes. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about some stuff that is going on, because we need to talk about it. You know that we are getting so much closer to Thanksgiving. And, you know, I like to bring this up. So here's some of the stuff that I was able to find from Reader's Digest. If you love turkey and you are a patient person, fools who argue over dark meat and light meat have missed the point. A turkey dinner is one worth waiting for, especially if that includes football. You believe that it's a second helping, your second chances? Nobody needs to explain to you how much each November a gobbling punchline suddenly turns majestic, widely beloved, and a vivishly golden brown hue of a Florida bachelor. So there you go. I don't know what the hell that even means, but it means something to someone, somewhere that was part of Reader's Digest. At least it feels that way. So I don't know. Let me give you the top reasons people are looking forward to Thanksgiving. So the only day of the year that when gravy is considered its own food group, elastic waistbands finally get the respect they deserve. Uncle Bob's political opinions now with a side of cranberry sauce and regret. A socially acceptable reason to start drinking before noon. Nothing says family bonding like passive-aggressive comments over mashed potatoes. Turkey, the bird we spend 8 hours cooking and 8 minutes eating. You can take a nap in the middle of the day and everyone just calls it, you know, hey, they're in a food coma. Every conversation ends with, so, when are you getting married? The annual "is it too early for Christmas music" argument officially begins. Your diet takes one look at the table and says, oh, we'll see you in January. Football on TV, a safe space to avoid washing dishes. The family group photo, everyone's pretending that they weren't just arguing about pie. and that one cousin who swears they're just doing keto until dessert shows up. And then you get to see how who shows up with store-bought rolls and who's trying too hard with quinoa stuffing. That's just kind of the way that it goes. But with that being said, why don't we do something a little bit more positive, and let's bring some John Smalls in here and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute, courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com and JaceCaseMedical.com.
The Motivation Minute.
Today's quote was submitted by Walter. Bob Dylan said, "A man is a success if he gets up in the morning and gets to bed at night and in between does what he wants to do." I love this. It's very similar to another quote from Dylan. I think we had that one a few weeks ago. Bob is right. If you love what you do, and you get to immerse yourself in that thing, first of all, your days go by quickly. But second of all, that is success. At least it is in my book and Bob's. I know people who are successful financially, but they hate every moment of what they need to do each and every day. I couldn't live that way. I love what I do. Now, there are days where it's hard work.
The Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute, courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com and JaceCaseMedical.com. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
In Gaza, the next phase of the U.S.-brokered ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas has stalled.
European officials report that without a major U.S. push to resolve the impasse, the current dividing line in Gaza could become a permanent border. At least 242 Palestinians have been killed and 622 injured by Israeli actions since the truce began on October 10th. Reconstruction in the Hamas-controlled north remains unlikely under the current conditions. Benjamin Wright reporting.
A car explosion near New Delhi's historic Red Fort has killed at least 13 people and injured 20 others in India's capital.
Indian police are investigating the blast under an anti-terrorism law, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi vowing to uncover the conspiracy behind it. The explosion occurred near a busy metro station, causing chaos in the area. Authorities have secured the site and are reviewing security footage to identify suspects. Chris Anderson reporting.
Yemen's rebels have signaled an end to their attacks on Israel and shipping in the Red Sea, coinciding with the shaky Gaza ceasefire.
The group announced the pause in operations as the truce holds, reducing threats to international maritime routes. This development eases concerns over disruptions to global trade, which had previously affected dozens of vessels. Houthi leaders stated the halt aligns with broader regional de-escalation efforts. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
The USU Senate has passed a bill to end the longest government shutdown in history, sending it to the House for approval.
The measure funds the government through January 30th, averting further disruptions to federal services and payments. 8 Democrats joined Republicans in the vote, breaking a partisan deadlock after 42 days. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers will now receive back pay, and food benefits for millions are restored. Lawrence Keller reporting.
A massive winter storm is bringing snow and frigid temperatures to over 90 million people from the deep south to New England.
The first major storm of the season has prompted alerts for heavy snowfall and bitter cold across the eastern U.S. Travel disruptions are expected, with airlines already canceling flights due to icy conditions. Officials urge residents to prepare for power outages and hazardous roads in affected areas. Kevin Sanders reporting.
The Supreme Court has declined to revisit its decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide, upholding the 2015 ruling.
The court's action ensures continued protections for LGBTQ plus couples across the U.S. Challengers sought to overturn the precedent, but justices rejected the appeal without comment. This maintains federal recognition of marriages performed in all states. Jessica Oakley reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, debatable, but we'll leave that for a different day. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 1980, yes, 1980, New York City Mayor Ed Koch admits to trying marijuana. Think about how things have changed since then. That happened back on this date in 1980. Okay, let's talk about some weird facts. The clean, pleasant smell that accompanies rain falling on dry ground has a name. It's called Prector. So there you go. Some stuff to think about. Okay, so let's talk real quick about some things you ought to know. Tonight, Powerball jackpot is for $512 million. Here's last night's winning Mega Million number. The jackpot was $900 million. It was 10, 13, 40, 42, and 46. The Mega Ball was number ones. Okay, hotels guests across the world have been kicked out of their rooms mid-stay after Marriott partner Sunder suddenly collapsed into bankruptcy. The abrupt shutdown left travelers stranded from Boston to Dubai, with some returning to find their belongings stuffed into plastic bags or dumped in hallways. Sonder, once valued over $1 billion, hailed as a rival to Airbnb, filed for Chapter 7 liquidation on Monday after Marriott International terminated the licensing deal, forcing the company to wind down operations immediately. So there you go. Also, John F. Kennedy, grandson, is officially entering politics, announcing his run for the U.S. House of Representatives in New York. He's seeking the seat soon to be vacated by longtime Democratic Representative Jerry Nadler. In a campaign video released on Tuesday, let's see, Jack said that the district needs a representative who can harness the creativity and energy and drive of the New Yorkers and turn it into political power for Washington. So there you go. Also, in some other news, the Supreme Court again declined to order the Trump administration to fully fund SNAP food benefits, giving Congress time to resolve the issue through a pending deal to end the government shutdown. The court kept the district judge funding order to hold through tomorrow, freezing action without considering which side has the better legal deal. So there you go. So with that being said, this is going to be the end of what the hell we're doing here, or close thereof. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm, hanging out there for the next couple hours or so, doing what we do, talking about the world of music and entertainment, because that's what we do on that side. If you decide to come and hang out with me, I'll be over at radiobig.fm. If you don't want to go over there, that's perfectly fine. I will not be offended, but you can stay here on Safety FM and talk to the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. No, that's what he does. He will cover the world of safety consulting. It's always a good time hanging out with him and taking a look at what the hell he has to offer. No doubt about that. So let me give you some words of wisdom for today. The imagination exercises a powerful influence over every act of sense, thought, reason, and over every idea. So think about those things. And if I can give you some advice for today, to remove rust from tin, rub a peeled potato dipped into a mild abrasive such as baking soda or salt. You'll be amazed at what it can do in the long run. No, seriously, I'm not joking as I say that. And then if you need a day to celebrate, today is today is National French Dip Day. So, National French Dip Day, tuck into the French dip today. That's something to do. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.